Hello, this is Tony Blazier for the Motocross Vault presented by Blinzall. If you're in the market for some high-quality racing oil for your two-stroke or four, make sure you go to blinzall.com and use our discount code VAULT20 to save 20% at checkout. Thank you for all the support.
This is Todd DeHoop, and welcome to the Motocross Vault.
Hello and welcome back to the Motocross Vault. My name is Tony Blazier, and what this video is going to cover is a look back at Suzuki's all-new 1992 RM125. The RM125 this year is probably most notable for its styling. This was a crazy era for graphics and overall design in the early 90s, and Suzuki was kind of the epitome of that here in 92. I remember in 91 when I first saw the RMs and they came out with a new design in terms of appearance. I was really shocked by it. I thought it was about the ugliest thing I'd ever seen because I love the 89 and 90s, the very clean blue and yellow, all kind of monochromatic look. I thought it was probably one of the best looking motorcycles ever built in 1990. In 91, they went with it looked like a cat barfed on your seat and had some weird splashes on the thing. I thought it was really weird, but that was like nothing compared to what Suzuki went for here in 92. They were like, hold my beer, you ain't seen nothing yet. And this 92 is really, really iconic for its appearance. I mean, I hated it back then. I thought it was just ridiculous, but it's really grown on me now in a kind of a 90s sort of way, retro way. It's certainly of its time. It's very unique, and I think that's probably what stands out in most people's minds. But other than the styling, this was a really great motorcycle. This year they made a lot of changes, even though the bike does look at first glance very similar to 91. It's actually a lot of changes here in 92, and it was really one of the best 125s of this era. A buddy of mine, Ryan, had one of these things, and it was a great motorcycle. It was really quick, very snappy power, very instant power. It runs very differently than like the CRs of the time, which were kind of like mid and up motors, didn't have a lot of like roll-on power. And this RM has a lot quicker building power. It doesn't pull as far on top as the Hondas did, but it made a real snappy type of power. It lets you get in and out of turns easy, make doubles right out of turns. It was a really good motorcycle, a really competitive motorcycle at the time. And if you could get past the styling, I think it was a great motorcycle overall. So this is going to be a look back at what they changed that year in 92 and how it performed on the track. If you like this sort of thing, make sure you check out some of the other videos I've done. I've done all kinds of sort of reviews on other motorcycles from Honda, Kawasaki, Suzuki, Yamaha, even KTM. I also have some retrospectives on several models over the years, like the history of the KX500 and CR500. I've even done some magazine reviews, some classic magazines, gone back and looked at them. And I plan on doing some more of those in the future. I have a huge selection of magazines back here. And I kind of going through scanning some of them over time. Some people seem to like those look backs. It's kind of fun to see the old ads and what have you. If you'd like to support what I do here at the Motocross Vault, I have Motocross Vault merch available. It's on my Teespring store. I have designs, again, from all the major manufacturers. And if you are looking for something maybe customized, I've done some custom designs too. I can put your number on a bike. If you'd like me to do something special for you, just hit me up via DM here on YouTube or any of my social media platforms, or you can always send me an email at themotocrossvault@gmail.com. So here, without further ado, is a look back at the 1992 Suzuki RM125. The early 1990s were a great time to be riding a Suzuki in the 125 class. While the RM250s of this era were often polarizing in their appeal, the yellow 125s were largely praised for their live handling, light feel, and punchy delivery. More quick than fast, these RM125s got up and went at the slightest crack of throttle and proved very effective on tight tracks with lots of jumps. On high-speed circuits, the RM lost out to the Honda's shrieking CR125, but for many riders, the little Suzuki's brand of right now power made it the bike to own in the 125 division. For Suzuki, this return to 125 competitiveness began in 1989 with the introduction of their all-new case-reed RM125. The new machine was a radical departure from the previous design and featured a stem-to-stern rethinking of their 125 platform. An all-new chassis greatly improved turning, and redesigned bodywork improved ergonomics and transformed the RM from an ugly duckling to one of the prettiest bikes in the class. The all-new case-reed motor shelved the rev-happy power band of 1988 in favor of a low-to-mid burst that made the bike far easier to ride. There was not a lot of power on top, but the RM was quick out of turns and super fun to ride. Over the next 2 years, Suzuki refined their 125 package with updates aimed at broadening its appeal. While novices loved the case-reed motor's punchy power band, experts found its lack of top-end pull somewhat frustrating. It was excellent at supercross-style circuits, but less effective once the track opened up. The RM's focus on turning also had its downsides, with the machine delivering a busy and unplanted feel at speed. While many felt this was a fair trade-off for the RM's excellent turning, many riders wished for a bit less wander from their always busy RM. After 3 years of refinements, Suzuki was ready to introduce a major update to their 125 platform in 1992. In 1991, the RM continued Suzuki's run of very competitive 125s, but like the previous 2 years, not everyone had loved its brand of 8th-liter performance. The bike was very quick, but the power band remained quite short and the suspension performance no longer topped the field. The machine still turned on a dime, but a propensity to wheelie out of every turn and headshake under power frightened more than a few 125 pilots into sampling red and green. For 1992, Suzuki looked to address all of these concerns by totally redesigning the chassis and majorly reworking the motor on their 125. The basic DNA of the 91 motor remained, but Suzuki made several changes aimed at broadening its power and improving its throttle response. In 1991, some RM125s had suffered from an annoying engine stutter in rough whoops and when landing from jumps. This was traced back to issues with the intake track, so Suzuki redesigned the entire intake for 1992. All new lower engine cases straightened and smoothed out the lower intake track, and a new intake manifold shortened the overall distance the mixture had to travel. A new crank was added that featured slightly more weight to smooth out the power. This was paired with beefed up gears for the primary and clutch drive to increase durability. A revised ignition produced a hotter spark for 92, and an all-new exhaust offered a new shape designed to lower the center of gravity and provide a longer pull on top. The top end of the motor was less radically altered, but small tweaks were made to work with the new flow characteristics of the revised bottom end. Carburation duties continued to be handled by a Mikuni 35mm flat slide slingshot mixer, a fact that seemed significant enough to be emblazoned across the side panels of RMs in markets outside of the United States. For some reason, American Suzuki never seemed particularly impressed with the marketing value of the slingshot carb and chose to replace the slingshot graphics with Motocross on US-bound models. In addition to the power upgrades, the RM's motor received some additional enhancements aimed at lowering its weight, easing servicing, and increasing durability. All new side cases repositioned the water pump and coolant drain for easier access, and a new magnesium clutch cover lowered weight. The clutch plates were increased in size for 92 and featured a new material for improved feel and increased longevity. The transmission remained a 6-speed with ratios unchanged from the year before. On the chassis front, the RM was even more radically updated for 1992. The complete 91 frame was scrapped in lieu of an all-new design that Suzuki claimed offered a whopping 25% increase in rigidity over the year before. The new frame swapped the 91's oval tubes for an all-new square tube design that was crafted out of tough chromoly steel. The new frame retained a similar geometry to 91, with a half-degree increase in rake and a slight lowering of the radiator placement standing out as the only significant changes. While similar in dimensions, the new frame featured stronger tubing, increased gusseting throughout, and a larger diameter pivot bolt for the swing arm. Disappointingly, the new frame continued to lack a fully removable rear subframe, a feature that Honda and KTM had been offering on their full-size machines for nearly a decade at this point. While not critical to performance, this omission seemed rather egregious in an all-new design. On the suspension front, the RM125 was once again significantly updated for 1992. In 1991, Suzuki had switched from longtime partner Kayaba to Showa and had delivered surprisingly good results. After 3 years of grim Showa performance on the CRs, this was a risky move, but Suzuki's engineers turned out to have a much better handle on the Showa components. Both ends outperformed the Hondas by a wide margin, allaying any fears of having similar performance on the RMs. For 1992, Suzuki once again stayed with Showa as the suspension provider on their RM125. Up front, the RM retained the inverted cartridge design of 91, but added 1mm larger tubes and a one-piece fork seal collar, improved oil seals, all-new valving, and redesigned lower guards. Unlike the Showa fork found in the CR125, the Suzuki version featured adjustments for both compression and rebound damping. Overall travel remained the same as 91, with 12.2 inches of action available. In the rear, the RM featured an all-new Showa shock that delivered 12.8 inches of rear-wheel travel. As in 1991, the damper offered a full range of adjustments for compression and rebound damping. Paired with the new shock was a redesigned swing arm and linkage, which featured enlarged pivot points and upgraded bearings for improved action and increased durability. The rear wheel was strengthened as well, with larger diameter spokes and an additional bearing on the sprocket side. Both brakes also got an upgrade in 1992, with all new rotors that were thicker to prevent bending and a redesigned front caliper that was less prone to flexing. Lastly, an all-new tank and seat smoothed out the rider compartment and made sliding forward easier in turns. The new tank was slightly lower for 92 and offered a cleaner appearance that was closer to the one found on the RM250. The new tank and lowered radiators also helped centralize mass for improved handling. In addition to the new plastic, the 1992 RM received an extremely bold update in graphics that set it apart from any other machine on the track. Even in 1992, this was a love it or hate it change, and not many people fell in the middle. On the track, the all-new RM125 turned out to be an improved version of the bike so many riders had embraced in 91. The power band remained focused in the mid-range, with a quick spool-up and lightning-fast response. The added crank inertia of 92 allowed the RM to hook up better out of turns, and the stronger mid-range hit boosted the RM up and over obstacles with ease. Top-end power was only average, and the RM began asking for a shift at about the time the CR was just getting started. If you tried to pin it to the stops and scream it like Guy Cooper, the RM would play along, but its most effective power was to be found lower down in the power curve. The intake changes cured the old model's annoying bog, and the new motor was quick, snappy, easy to ride, and very competitive. The CR125R remained faster on top, but it was far more difficult to keep on the pipe than the always eager RM. When you added in the RM's slick shifting, 6-speed transmission, and feathery light clutch, you had one of the best overall power packages in the class. Fast guys still loved the endless pull of the Honda, but for most riders the RM was a far easier dancing partner in 1992. On the chassis front, the RM was once again an upgraded version of what people had come to love about the Suzuki's 125s. The stronger forks and stiffer frame helped make the RM an absolute scalpel on the track. It could cut underneath any other machine on the track, and that is in a class full of bikes that know how to turn. The Honda came closest in 92 to matching its turning acumen, but even the Red machine could not match its effortless steering feel. On the RM, all you had to do was think about where you wanted to go, and the lithe chassis and snappy power did the rest. Jumping the RM was likewise a joy, and the bike was easily the best machine for making that tricky double right out of a turn. In terms of stability, the new chassis was slightly improved for 92, but the RM remained far better at cornering than going straight. That same light feel and aggressive geometry that made the RM such a joy in the turns could make it quite disconcerting at speed. Unlike the CR, which shook its head under deceleration, the RM tended to shake its head under power and generally wander around the track. At speed, the bike never really took a set and tended to dance around under the rider. Compared to the KX125, which was undeterred by almost anything, the RM was a live wire of activity. Every rut, rock, and undulation in the terrain caused the Suzuki to react, and the bike demanded constant attention once the speeds increased. In truth, the RM rarely did anything spooky, but that it might just decide to spit you off feeling at speed never quite went away. On the suspension front, the RM125 delivered the second best ride in the class in 92. In truth, no other brand was in the same league as Kawasaki this season and their magic carpet ride KXs. At least Suzuki came closest, however, at making it into the same ballpark. The new Showa forks performed at least 150% better than the poorly set up ones found in the Honda and proved more than raceable in stock condition. They were not quite as plush as the ultra-smooth KYBs on the KX, but they were well damped and sprung perfectly for most riders in the RM's target demo. In the rear, the story was very much the same, with a well-sorted and well-liked rear damper. The choppiness riders had complained about the year before was gone, and the new shock generally performed its job without drama. Big whoops and small were both taken in stride, and the RM could be launched skyward without any fear of suffering a tooth-rattling landing. Once again, it was not quite as supple as the Kawasaki's rear end, but some fast guys preferred the RM's firmness to the KX's cush. Much like the fork, it was a matter of taste, and neither machine could be faulted for their overall suspension performance. On the detailing front, the RM was improved in some areas but still a step behind the competition in others. The new brakes were stronger overall and more fade-resistant than in the past. The squealing that had annoyed riders the year before was gone, and both ends were less grabby than 91. They were not quite as works bike powerful as the units found on the Honda, but they were easily better than anything else in the class. The clutch and transmission were both loved for their smooth action, but some riders did complain of accidental shifts due to its very light touch. The light pull of the clutch also reflected its relatively soft springs, and hard chargers were likely to want stiffer springs to prevent the clutch from fading in long motos. Today, the 1992 RM125 is an icon of early 90s moto culture, a machine so outlandish in appearance that it is revered today even by riders who hated its looks at the time. 30 years on, its styling has overshadowed most of its other attributes, but the RM was far more than an interesting styling exercise. Underneath its unusual appearance beat the heart of a winner. Snappy, fun, and deceptively fast, the 1992 RM125 was a lethal motocross weapon wrapped in a rainbow sparkle attire. So there you have it. That's a look back at the 1992 RM125, a machine that's obviously most remembered for its styling, but its performance on the track certainly was better than its looks. I think, at least in my opinion, a lot of people do love the looks. I'm sure a lot of people love the looks back in '92. Again, I thought it was just bizarre, but it's one of those things that grows on you over time. I think you go to appreciate it in kind of the way people like, a '57 Chevy now. It's outlandish and over the top. But it's cool of its time, and it's certainly an awesome period piece. I'd love to have one of these arms. Like I said, they're fun little motorcycles to ride even today, and they're surprisingly quick. If you ride one of these arms, they're obviously, it's not as fast as a modern KTM or something, but they're not slow. They actually have pretty good power, so it's a pretty cool machine to restore. And I think a lot of people like doing it, not just for the performance, but also for the looks. If you like this sort of thing, make sure you check out some of the other videos I've done. Again, I have all kinds of other reviews on my channel. If you have anything you'd like me to do in the future I haven't covered, please feel free to drop me a line, leave a comment in the section below, and I'll see if I have the information on. I'll see if I can work up a video for you in the future. Until we meet again, this is Tony Blazier from the Motocross Vault. Keep the rubber side down. Peace.